Welcome, everyone. Welcome to episode 166 of Into the Outer Realms. I am your interstellar host and cosmic traveler, Joey Media. Welcome to the Outer Realms, where the paranormal and the supernatural are just the normal and the natural. But you'll notice that I have my friend, the remover of obstacles, Ganesh, behind me tonight, which means we have a guest with a more spiritual bent, with a more spiritual background. We're letting things like UFOs, ghosts, and all of that kind of stuff go for this week. And the audience, I know you all really enjoy this a lot, as will I. I have to explain to you right up front. Kaliyani is a very talented musical artist. Her videos are available on YouTube, and she's going to give you that information. I'll share with you the links and all of that kind of thing. But in this day and age of sort of automated gatekeeping, if I was to play clips of those videos, it's probably going to trigger some kind of copyright warning, and then this video would be taken down and we would be nowhere at all. So that explains that. So that ties our hands a little as hosts in this age, but we'll do the best we can. We're going to talk about her process, her background, where she got the beautiful name Kaliyani, the meaning of that, and all of that. So let's go ahead and roll the opening. We're going to spend an hour with my guest tonight, and it should be a wonderful time. So thank you for joining us. Here we go with our beautiful opening. I have to say again that the music, speaking of music composition, the music for our opening is composed by our son Jeremy, who is now in his second week at Berklee School of Music for Music Composition. He's absolutely loving it. He is following his bliss, as Joe Campbell would say. Let that be a lesson to us all.
There exists a realm beyond our wildest dreams, a realm beyond reality that the gatekeepers and guardians have always told us consists of nothing but tricks of the eye, weather balloons, swamp gas, sand cranes, fairy tale myths of monsters, crackpot conspiracy theories, and desperate cries for attention.
We know this realm exists, and it's just beyond the horizon. The preset path, the well-worn walkways where the cynics want us to stay.
Instead, give this a listen. Put on your headphones, adjust your volume, close your eyes, and fasten your mental seatbelts, because the twilight-tinged turnoff from reality's alluring highway is looming just ahead.
We're about to leave the plane of the easily explained, couldn't possibly be's, and the no way I just saw what I saw's, for the spaces and places where everything is possible, and if you stay long enough, even probable. We're about to take a journey into the outer realms.
All right, so may Ganesh be with our son on his journey through Berklee's music composition program. He certainly has the talent and the passion and the vision and all of that. So let's jump right in, shall we? Kaliyani is a spiritually inspired visionary. As producer, artist, and founder of Stargate Alliance Films and Media, she hopes to inspire humanity through offering alternative visions, information, and empowering tools for self, as well as for global soul transformation, things that we are all in need of in these times. It is Kaliyani's dream to offer herself as an instrument for the betterment of humanity and uplifting of consciousness on the planet. She says her deep, heartfelt connection with Source is the driving force and fuel in everything she co-creates and assists in bringing forth. And that is the object of tonight's show, to give her this platform with you all, the outer realmers, to explain her process, her work, and her life. So here she is. Welcome. Hello. Good evening.
Hi, Joey. Good evening. We're still not an evening here. It's 4:00, but
I didn't know where you're based. You're based out on the West Coast?
Yes, I'm in LA.
Oh, very cool. Very, very cool. So let's just jump right in here. I apologize. We had a little confusion, but everything is fine and we're here and we're
Mhm,
good to go for
mhm,
the next hour, I hope. But the name Kaliyani, where does it
mhm.
come from? How does it inspire you? How long you've been using it? You tell us whatever you want about it.
Well, that name came to me in meditation. I was meditating because the music had come through, and I figured, it would be important to give a container for the muse within me to be separate from the other, hats I wear, let's say. And I had been calling that in, either as a pencil name or as a music name. And one day I was in the garden and I was meditating and I heard the name. And the first thing I did is I just ran into the house and I typed it because I had never heard it. And I thought, this is very unique. And I want to know if this name already exists, which is interesting, right? I had never heard it. So I liked it, and I said, "Well, that's spirit telling me this is my gonna be my muse name." Just like Sting probably wasn't baptized Sting, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of musicians choose a separate container, and I use that as a spiritual name in a sense as well when I do sacred circles and things like that.
Right. So what is the translation? What is the meaning?
Well, this name has so many different meanings.
Yeah.
It means the auspicious one that brings gifts, and also it's, I think, associated with goddess Lakshmi.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful. And this was how long ago, would you say?
I think this was 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe 2010. It could have been earlier, from what I remember. I think 2010, 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you wear many hats, and I understand that and the need to kind of compartmentalize and
Yeah.
your forward facing persona. Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the founding and what Stargate Alliance in Films and Media does.
Yeah, that was a download I got when I was also in deep meditation, and I was completing my second year of master's in spiritual psychology, which is a program here in Santa Monica. It's a very unique program, and I had to do a living vision. I think it was either at the end of the first year or something like it. And what came through was a conscious media company because I was, you know, um, very much into documentaries and the idea of breaking through limited concepts of reality and offering new programs and visions and ideas and explore the universal psychology, alternative health, and spirituality. And I thought I would love to make documentaries someday. And I did that living vision, and then we have as part of the program. So I wrote like a 5-page long um, paper. It's like this is how spiritual psychology is. You do these very interesting projects, and so I wrote like these pages, and then the teachers told us to energize the vision. So you write a living vision, which has to be something that is somewhat believable that you would like to be doing the next 5 to 10 years of your life, no matter how. If you don't know anything about it, doesn't matter if you know. Uh, but it has to be somewhat, you have to 50% of you has to say this could happen. So you can't say like I want to go to the moon tomorrow. That may be a little out of yeah. So I did I energized the vision, which means you sit with it every day or for an hour a day, or I can't remember the details now, and you kind of see yourself in it, doing it, right? Within 3 months, I manifested my first project, which was Secrets of Love, with co-produced it with Bill Wade, and I thought this is going to be the beginning. This is like my training, right? Um, to be able to continue to do this work. And And it kind of was, but I woke up one morning with the word Stargate Alliance in my mouth, which is another, when you're communing with the divine and you have a relationship and you've nursed it and nurtured it, which I did all my life, especially through prayer, and just also a lot of different things that I put my hands on since I was a teenager and a child, actually. And that came out of my mouth like a burp. I say it was like a burp because I didn't remember having any dreams. I didn't remember, I just woke up, I looked at the ceiling and I said, Stargate Alliance. And I thought to myself, what did I just say this? Where did this come from? And I turned on the bed, looked at my side table, and it's like, Stargate Alliance. This sounds beautiful. What is this? And it took me like a few days to like, excuse me, knock, knock. This is the name of your production company. Didn't you want to be doing this? So, yeah, so that's how it happened.
That's terrific because names have resonance. They have power, just like mantras and all that. So let's go back a little. So spiritual psychology in Santa Monica, meditating. You mentioned that a couple of times. What set you on the path? Were you? I know you were born in Brazil. Was this a cultural thing? In the United States, it's not so much cultural to come out and start meditating and be a spiritual person. So tell us a little bit, like, what got you to that master's degree?
Well, not necessarily. In Brazil, I was actually never meditated. It was not until I came here and my spiritual life became more founded and grounded. And it was mostly after my divorce, because as a married woman, I had 4 kids, and I was quite devoted to that. And that's where my focus, was. But at the crisis, of the ending of my 16-year marriage, I had this urge to do a certain type of prayer that I had heard a long time ago when I was a young kid, and I had only heard it twice. My mother taught me every prayer in the book. She was born in Portugal, and she's was born Catholic, and she even used to confess every day, take the, but when she turned 22, she decided, she read a book about the Holy Inquisition, and she said, I'll teach my girls to pray, but I am not going to force them to go to church. And I don't think it's necessary. And I don't want to be part of an institution that committed this many crimes. This is what she decided at 22. But she taught us to pray. So I prayed all my life. I couldn't fall asleep if I didn't pray. And she taught us like 4 or 5 different, maybe 6 prayers that we did every night. And she would sit with us, me and my sister, when I say us. And she would do these prayers until like we're teenagers, and she backed out, because like, Mom, come on, like we're preteens, and she's still sitting at the bed doing the prayers with us or something. But I just continued. I felt this, desire to continue to pray. And at the dissolution of my marriage, I did this. It's actually, you can Google it and find it. I found out this prayer actually originated in France somewhere. It's called Caritas, Caritas prayer. So I did that prayer, and I received a download that I had to take my foot off the ground before bedtime, and then I would do it, and before putting my foot on the ground in the morning. And I did that for a few weeks, and eventually I started having these visions and dreams about a deity that was around me. And it was Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion. So beautiful. I think your original, the question that you asked me is how...
I think you covered it, what your journey is, but what brought you then to America?
Well, I met my husband then, and he lived in the U.S. He was also originally from Brazil, but he was working here since he moved here when he was 19, actually, and went to UCLA as well. But then, he never went back. He created his company, and it grew, and I was there at a New Year's Eve party at the famous Pelé, the soccer player who actually, unfortunately, passed away recently. He was a friend of ours,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and I met him there.
Very
And
nice. So, folks, remember, and I've been it through. I went through the end of a divorce. We didn't have children, and then that was always the plan and all. But I went into the desert and had a very 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 dark night of the soul one night, and something said,
Mhm.
"There's stuff coming. Keep going."
Mhm.
And got that guidance and met my way. We're together 26 years now. We have
Uh,
3 children.
that's
So
beautiful.
so people, you need to,
Yeah.
keep going, keep going. People said, how did you keep going? How do you not keep going? If you stop moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
you perish. Entropy takes over. So I am going to apologize to you upfront because people quote me to me all the time, and sometimes it can be uncomfortable. But I was reading through your publicity packet,
Mm-hmm.
and I found this quote, and I want to read it to the audience and then have you sort of unpack it and talk about it, and then we'll get into the videos and your music. When we finally let go of that which no longer serves us, that's true awakening. When we finally liberate ourselves from the illusion of fear impinged on us through agendas that aim to create separation from ourselves and one another as a means to control, that is illumination. When we realize that that which we have so long sought and believed to exist only outside of ourselves and realize our inherent birthright. That is beautiful. You have so many complicated, awakening and illumination. How did this come to you, and what does that mean to you? How is that manifested in your life, what you wrote there?
Well, yes. My goodness. I think this is this says it all right there. I think we know that fear is one of the biggest blockers of the heart, and the heart is the seed of courage. And I always like to speak of how important it is for us to overcome fear. And the fear comes in many shapes and forms. It can be fear of success, fear of failure,
Mm,
or you could be just afraid to be authentic because you're afraid you're not going to be acceptable if you show up as you are, or even fear of shining your light, fear of power. A lot of people have fear of power because it changes people, power, and that's why a lot of people also say, after this person became wealthy, they changed, and they're this or that, because a lot of things like wealth is also associated with power and freedom, right?
mm,
So I feel that one of the biggest liberating things we can do is to find means and ways to overcome even fear of shining our light. Like, for example, you have an idea or a download. Like my first soundtrack, I felt it was, I said, how can I don't want to, I created that soundtrack for documentary I wanted to create about the sacred feminine. And my objective was not to become a singer, but when friends heard it, they said, you can't keep it from the world. You're an artist, you have to release this. And people would listen to them, was in vacation, and cry, so I had to get out of the way. Everything that happened in my life required me to get out of, to relinquish fear completely and actually jump and hope, there is a net down there to catch me, basically, because it's a dark jump. You're gonna you're gonna do what you think feels right in the moment, even if you don't know the other side of the story or how it's going to come through. So as long as your heart is in the right place and the intention that you have is honorable and has integrity, you should not fear. You should only fear when you're doing something that you should never fear, period. But if you think something may not work in the end. It could be just because you are doing it for clout, or you're doing it, you're faking something, right?
Right.
You're faking something either for clout or for money, for fame. It's usually that kind of thing. You have to find what is fueling your passion, right? If when you connect to that, whatever you do is going to be a blessing, and I usually don't project too much. I do it and I detach from, I try to my best of my ability to detach from the outcome, because all I know is I'm doing it because it feels right, because it feels good, because it's my passion, and I let the universe take care of it. I hand it over. I like, you do whatever you want with this.
Yeah. Folks, I
Mhm.
hope you're taking notes, because this is a spiritual clinic this evening. There's parts of Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. There's Brene Brown's authenticity work. There's Gay Hendricks' Big Leap. Right? He says, "Don't hide your light under a bushel," and
Mhm.
people don't talk about it a lot, but I know it's something that I have struggled with in the past. The fear of failure. Okay, failure. What is failure? Try again.
Mhm.
Everybody failed. Blah blah. But the fear of success, that
Yeah.
change, people are going to look at you different. When I began on this path with Tanya 25 years ago, um, people warned us. They said your family's going to treat you different. The more authentic you become, they're going to go, "Who's this stranger? What's this attitude? What are you doing?" But I was looking up here while you were talking. The reason is I wanted to get it right. Is a beautiful Henry Miller quote. And he says, "The goal of life is not to possess power, but to radiate it." And I believe that that's what you're
Yes.
talking about, which is
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
So let's talk about your videos. Of course, we're going to culminate with One Earth, which is your current one. But let's start. Let me see. Let me get this right here. Let's go with Namu's Invocation. So first, who is Namu? Where did the name come from?
Yeah. Namu is. I found out about Namu when I was reading Riane Eisler's book in 2010, I believe, 2009, maybe 2010, called The Chalice and the Blade.
Ah,
And I
yes.
recommend it highly for anyone. It's quite extraordinary. She's she's a scholar. She's earned so many, received so many medals and awards, and she has many other books. But that one was part of this huge awakening for me. I was, that passage that I had in 2003 with Kuan Yin appearing in my life, I actually couldn't eat. I almost, for a year, I had difficulty eating food, and I stayed alive by just drinking greens powder with apple juice. And it was around the time of my separation. And this is interesting because the Prece of Caritas, the prayer of Caritas that I was doing, was a prayer to the Lord Jesus, right? It's still within the dogma of the church and the stories we know about Christianity. And but I prayed so devotedly, and I always say I prayed to the Lord, and the lady came. And I think my part of my dharma was to awaken to the divine feminine, and then my work. I mean, the impact it had in my heart was so phenomenal in my being. I felt so touched by grace, and with Namu's invocation, I feel it was this voice, because Namu is the creationary goddess of Sumerian spirituality. So back in Sumerian times, 6 to 8,000 years ago, there was this deity goddess who is, the a lot of history has been modified. Even some extraordinary multilingual historians like Noah Kramer, who was he was the one who was the honorary keeper of all the ancient tablets at Chicago University Oriental Institute for many years. He passed away already, but there's a beautiful lecture he gave in the 70s about Summer and Sumeria. But Namu is this goddess who created the universe and everything under it, and even talk about day and night life. It's the same concept of the God we've had in the last religious institutions of the last 6,000 years. But prior to that, when Sumeria was there and the Akkadians and all of that, we're talking prehistory pretty much. It's BC, right? BCE. So that was their creationary myth. It was Namu who danced with the wind and created, even all gods were under her. She created all the other gods and the world and everything. So I was like, this is, talk about breaking through limiting concepts of reality. And I think the sacred feminine has been guiding me and speaking to me and showing me things so that I can share with other people. And and then I had this burning fire to tell people about this and to give this this sacred feeling a voice, this sacred feminine a voice. But it was something I could not put into words. I wanted to be able to express what I was feeling. The presence of this first Kuan Yin's presence was so strong that I couldn't even eat for almost a year. Food, real food, like it looked like plastic to me. I couldn't swallow. And then to find this creationary myth, I thought it was revolutionary, to have people understand that what we know for the last 3,000 years is not all there is, that history didn't begin there. And it's very healing, especially for women, to imagine that the archetype of creation as a god could be female. And so I just wanted to create the documentary, which never actually happened. The music took a life of its own and it became so big. And then there was another song that came right after that I recorded around the same time, which was all this transmission that I was receiving, this intense love that I had for a divine mother, let's say, like the Indians, that I felt was touching me. It was touching my heart, and I wanted to honor it in a sense.
You mentioned it was well received. It has almost 3 million views now. Are you a trained musician? Did you set out to be an entertainer or vocalist? So how did this that wound up having now, in a world of so much noise and competition for views and all that kind of stuff, to have almost 3 million views? How did this manifest, this music video?
Yeah, it's like I said, I didn't even want to release it because I said, oh, I can't do this again, and I had to get out of the way and say, it is what it is. Maybe it's a one time. And, I always say I'm here to work for the divine. Whatever the universe wants me to do that will be uplifting and help humanity, I will brave up. I will, I'll do what I have to do to make sure that whatever they want me to express, I can do it. I express it, but without, again, being attached to expectations from the program. Again, that quote you read has to do with how do we know if who we are is really our authentic expression, or is it part of the program that was passed down generationally, either culturally, familially, or religiously, that you just absorbed and you think that's you. So I just always pay attention to that. And I thought to myself, I can't sing. First of all, I'm in my 40s. I can't do this now. That doesn't make any sense. I wasn't trained to sing. I don't play any instruments. How can I be a musician? This is crazy. And little by little, the universe kind of came in and said, this is exactly why you should do it, because you're going to break through a limiting concept of reality, which is if you don't come from a family of musicians and you're not trained for several years how to sing, and you can't do it. Well, guess what? You can.
Right.
If you're passionate about it and you love it and you have an inkling and you have a talent for something, you don't even have to have the talent. I mean, I say I have a decent voice. And when I'm inspired, my voice kind of comes from this, place where I can't even know it myself, but it's like I feel like I'm being sung, instead of
Right.
singing. So if you love something, just drop the program and drop the fear, and you can do anything.
Right.
Anything that you're passionate about, that moves you, that is inspiring to you and others, and that is helpful. I always say, if you have a dream, if your dream is just to do something for the self, spirit may help you here and there, but it's probably not going to be as magical as when what you do is not just for your service, but it's bringing something to a group of people. It has to do with something, that you're helping out in the world. It could be any topic. It could be, climate change and, sacred feminine liberation consciousness. But is it authentic, And
Right.
that's the question I ask myself: is what I'm doing authentic? And when I feel it is, I become fearless.
Right. Right. So Joseph Campbell says very wisely that when you're following your bliss, when you answer the call to adventure, which you did, when you're being authentic, doors open where there used to be only walls. So you set out on this endeavor, you're
Mhm.
starting to get this download. Um, did your collaborators, did they appear as you needed them? Did you have to go out and seek them? How does that work?
Pretty much. And that's why I say, when you're in your dharma, stuff will come out of the woodworks for you. And for example, when I finally overcame the idea that no, I'm not going to sing, this is not for me, and I was receiving a meditation that I wanted to create this documentary, that I had to create the music, and I kept saying it can't be, because when we did Secrets of Love, the documentary, and there's extraordinary people in it, I really recommend you guys check it out. I think Netflix, it's not Netflix, Amazon, yeah, you can stream there, but uh um we had a really hard time. I almost lost my train of thought. Licensing music, and it's extremely expensive. We wanted to use 70s love songs and things like that, and it was absurdly expensive.
Yeah.
And that's when I got it. So I had to get it when I began to get out of the way, just to imagine. Let me just imagine that maybe if I were to sing or create a song, and I started writing down what instruments I would like in it, and I was picking out these ancient instruments. I was researching. I knew it had to be really exotic. But it wasn't very long when I met the composer. So, and it's kind of a fun journey, to just see it unfold in front of you.
Right, right. So 4 years later, now has almost 2 million views. Tears for Inanna. So tell same thing. What was the process? Where did that come from? It was 4 years later. Was it surprising to you that you had to do it again? Like,
I actually, to be honest with you, recorded Tears for Nana in the same year I recorded the Music
oh,
Vacation.
okay,
Yeah, but I took my time to develop the music video, because I felt called to everything that I create musically to have an accompanying image to it, because it's very powerful. I call it light and sound. It's the world of light and sound. Light is the video and sound is the music. And I thought, because I thought maybe, this is a one time, and I wanted to honor this powerful presence that was delivering these vocalizations to me. And I said, I will. So the creation of I did a soft launch in 2013 of No Music Vacation, and then I did the 2014 video was released, which took like a whole year putting together, because we would travel to different locations, right, to shoot in different places, and then there was the editing. And Tears for Nana, I waited until the whole, you know, focus from Namu's Invocation. And Namu's Invocation went far and wide. It ended up in a film that my composer is also, at the time, he's a music director, and I mean a film director and a writer. He's very talented, and he created this beautiful film, it's called The Winter Rose. It's about a singer that was, and I was also executive producer for that. It's a young child that is orphaned, and she has a talent for singing, but she also has abandonment issues and addictions. But it's a feel-good movie. Like, it ends really on a high note, and it was beautiful. The most emotional scene of the film has Namu's Invocation in it. So there was a lot happening. People are licensing the song for it, using it in their books, or, and I just allow that to kind of slow down. And then I did the video for Tears for Nana, and I actually have a couple other tracks I never actually released because I'm spread out thin. Sometimes I'm doing other work, and but yeah, that came from the same exact place, the same passion, the same connection to the sacred feminine and Namu. And Inanna, if you research Inanna, she's like the precursor goddess to pretty much every goddess. It's very strange, and there are books written about it. And it's almost like I feel like she's a daughter of Namu, but that's just how my connection is. But Inanna became Ishtar. Then some people say she was also Isis. Some people don't believe in that connection. Some do. So in each part of the world, she gained a different name because it was a different culture, but it's all her. So I thought that was fascinating, and that song came from this place as well.
Nice. So you mentioned vocalization. Yeah. So you say, okay, I'm not a singer. I'm not even going to do just like vocals with a sort of flat melody line. No, I'm going to do these sort of complicated, very beautiful world music kind of vocalizations. Here's the deal, folks. I said it to you, and we're going to say it again. If we play clips of these videos on, then the automated systems go, oh, you're in violation of copyright. And they either take down or silence our videos. Yeah, because it's so hard to reach a human being anymore to go, no, the person who owns the rights to this was on the show and we were sharing it. So in the chat room, folks, I put you're going to want to listen to these. You're going to want to listen to them over and over again. I say you'll want to meditate to them. I know that I have, but the reason we're sitting here together, the reason that I know that you exist in the world and your work was because of Earth Day this year. And you made a very beautiful video. There are some clips behind us on the banner. And folks, if you saw the banner leading up to the show this whole week, you saw those images. Very beautiful, very spiritual. They're Roman, but they're Eastern, and they're wonderful. So One Earth has tens of thousands of views and is climbing all the time. It's spoken to a lot of people, and this is about a crucial subject, right? The last 2 days, the world has set a record for temperature. Yeah. And yesterday, it was a beautiful day, and I could not go out of my house because of the smoke from the fires of Canada.
Are you in Canada?
So bad. We're not. We're in Ohio, which is kind of right over the border. Wow. But last month, our daughter has terrible asthma. She had to cancel a crucial doctor's appointment because the air quality is terrible. We were getting these red suns, and it was really quite stunning. And you could feel it in a haze on everything, a coating in your throat. So what inspired this, and why this year and now for this powerful message?
Oh yeah, well, this was a fun one, and it happened because I got to meet the creator of USA for Africa, which is Ken Cragen, this beautiful humanitarian and agent who created that beautiful, he conceptualized it, and then of course all this powerful people that he was connected with came together, and you saw the result. We're the world. And Ken was working on a new mega, bigger than life, larger than life project called Hands Around the World. And he was working with somebody who was really talented with that, and it's Neil. And Neil was the CEO of the project, and they had started it, I think, in 2019. They had been featured in magazines and all that, but with the lockdown that happened in 2020, everything was put on hold. And because Ken was really, approaching a very delicate age. He was, I believe, he was in his late 70s, if not early 80s. He did pass away, unfortunately, in December of 2021. But this came by in 2020, and Neo kept saying, and I started attending the meetings because they wanted to meet me, and a friend of a friend introduced me. And I said, did you make sure to show them what my music's like? Because I don't think they're gonna want me to do anything because my music's odd, right? You would say like my music is not. It's not something that you play at a party for people to cheer. It's like yeah, maybe you're gonna feel like meditating or crying. Like a lot of people who listen to my songs for the first time, some of them cried in front of me, quite a few. And I was like, she said, no, they did. They saw it. They still want to talk to you. And I thought this is interesting. But in the beginning, the meetings, I was more like trying to understand what they were doing. It was like all these Zoom meetings, and then I became more like a liaison. I was like a connector, and I brought other people to it. And because I know a lot of people, a few people in the industry, music or otherwise. And I, was helping them out. And in these meetings, I think after the second or third, Neil started saying, all right, I think you're going to create a song for us. Because they had a Carrier song, but they were not very happy with it, especially Neil. And I said, yeah, no pressure. I'm here talking to Ken Cragen. Okay, we're the world. And they wanted a song that had this majestic, like, beautiful, kind of inspiring, but about climate change, about the earth, about, living a legacy for our children and grandchildren with a planet that is breathable and that is healthy. So, again, I was like, this is not my signature. I don't sing like this, and I don't know if I should do this, but it's kind of silly because, this is an extraordinary cause to, and again, I had to once again get out of my way. It took me a little while. It was several meetings. He would say the same thing over and over again until I allowed myself to actually think that I could create a beautiful song for the planet. And I love nature. I have a beautiful garden all the time, and I love being in nature. And I'm always surrounded by flowers. I cannot be home without having flowers. I either catch them in my backyard or I go somewhere else and get them. So it spoke deeply to me, of course. And I'm always supporting environmental organizations, donating. I even took my community of friends and we planted some trees in 2020, early 2020. Actually, it was the day lockdown came through. We still went out to the mountains and we planted trees. I bought 200 small white oaks, and we went up to Malibu and I planted in a park there, and it was beautiful. Actually, that's there is in the music video, there is an aerial shot that is just a still, and it's us in the mountains. That's the circle of people standing up in the mountain. That's us. Yeah, planting trees. So I did it. I got out of the way, and while I'm gardening and swimming, we're on lockdown. That we didn't go much anywhere, but I did tons of gardening. Sometimes I was like 4, 5, 6 hours. I have 3/4 of an acre, so I would just garden away, and the song started to pour. The lyrics and the melody together. Just I would be swimming, and I would just be with the awareness all the time that I was opening myself to receive this song, to create this song and to co-create it, right? Because I never feel like I'm creating anything. I'm always co-creating, right, with spirit. Yeah. And that's how it was done. That was an easy one. It was like, yeah.
That's good. And the first two videos are you with very striking images, great overlays and all of that. But this one, so many, I made some notes as I was watching, so many shots of the environment, You talk about the future, of course. So many children, and makes you cry when you look and you think and you're engaged. But also I noticed a pattern of mandalas, circles. You were in a circle as you were planting the
Yes.
trees and all that, and that it's all one. I mean, that's really it. Maya, Mother Earth or Gaia, right, is
Yeah.
calling. That's what I loved. If we can be still, if we can be quiet, she will tell us what she needs.
Mhm.
And and
Mhm.
and and that was absolutely beautiful to me. And then two, you didn't lay on it heavy, but of course we have the Ukrainian war. We have all of this talk of nuclear weapons and things that we
Mhm.
perhaps thought that we were beyond,
Yeah.
perhaps foolishly, and really at this fulcrum point of all this anger and all. But you have the crying soldier, followed
Yes.
right after that by putting the flower in the gun. Iconic
Mhm.
through the decades, starting with the Vietnam War and the flower
Mhm.
children and
Mhm.
all of that. How involved were you in selecting the images for the video?
100%.
Yeah, I believe it. I
Mhm.
believe it. How long
Mm.
did it take to it's 6 minutes long, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
Six 6 minutes, 4 seconds, something like that. How long did it take you to put it together and go, yes, this is the right combination of images, this is the right flow, and I'm happy with this?
In all honesty, a long time.
Yeah, a
It
long time.
wasn't like, well, this is the vision, and that's. I had a lot of clips that I took off, and initially, I didn't even want to be in the video. It's very funny. I felt like, no, this is about the earth, let's do a collage of images, and I wanted to just not to be about me. And my friend Steven, I said, can you do this collage for me? He said, I'll try, and he did it, and it was really. And he said, Kaliyani, you have to be in the video. What you're attempting to do is wrong because your fans want to see you. The people who love what you do are going to be excited. How can you do a music video and not even be in it? And he told me, get out now and go to North Lake because it's going to snow in the next 4 days. And it's extraordinarily beautiful right now. And he was in Florida. He's not even here, but he knew it. He knew that time of the year. And this was, October of 2020. And it was the end of October. It had already snowed a little bit. There was snow on the ground there. I actually
Mm.
shot wearing Uggs. I have the Uggs on, and I
Oh,
had
wow.
3/4 black heavy coat on. And whenever Wolfgang started shooting, I would just drop the coat, throw it away. He would carry it. And I was cold, but we have to do what we have to do. And he convinced me to just get on. But when I did Cheers for Nana or Numbers in Vacation, I felt like I had a blank canvas because my voice is not saying anything comprehensible because it's a pure high frequency transmission. And that's why people cry, because when you put words, there's a value to words. And I always say I have, kind of a strange relationship with words. I love it, and words can be used beautifully, poetically, and they can transmit profound thought forms and even convey difficult emotions, and but it puts you in your head. And what I love about what I created, and I prefer it to stay that way, is that you're just receiving the impact of the tones, right?
Yeah.
And the energy that is behind it, how it was created, why it was created, what's the intention on it. But so having those words, I said, well, it's going to be more complicated because I don't have the freedom to just put whatever I want on the screen. I have to have a sense of how. So it took a while for me to kind of pick up on, and Wolfie and I worked on it. He's my producer, and he's usually not a videographer, but he's like, let's do it, and people are not even working in those days, and we just took off and did it. And it was just 2 days in that area, and we scouted it and we shot it during sunset time and sunrise. It was just one evening and one morning, and then we came home. And it's unbelievable how beautiful it came. It was an iPhone 13 with a little, what do you call that drum thing that hold the movement,
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
cancels out movement.
Yep.
That was it. We did, and then I said, well, I didn't have enough footage just to be me from beginning to end, and I didn't want to be me beginning to end. And that's when I started searching for these clips and the messages. But it's a time consuming thing. You can spend hours looking for these clips, every day. And I was also working only when I had free time. And there's other things going on in my life, like everybody else, and I had children as well. And they're adult children now. But so I was working whenever there was availability. And then the production was another long period of time because the musicians, some of them were traveling, some of them were away, some did not. You had to work remotely only, and it was. But it kept us busy and having creative stuff to do. Like a lot of people did a lot of creative work in that period of time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
we did. We all learned to adjust and express in new ways and try things out. I got to teach in places that I never would have taught through the
Mm-hmm.
the magic of the internet because people had no choice, and I would perform for people. The library would put it
We
on,
got a
but people
visitor
all
here.
over the world would watch. Oh, wonderful!
Yeah,
Hello.
she just hopped on my lap.
Nice. We get that a lot. It's a good peaceful vibe here. So, I think the balance. So you as sort of the manifestation of the goddess and providing that connection, but yet all these powerful images that if you have any heart at all, these images resonate with you, the children and the
Mhm.
soldiers and all of that. So I applaud
Mhm.
you for that. So we're getting short on time here already. We talked a lot about a lot of these things. Do you have any? What are some projects that you have in the works?
Well, right now I'm trying to focus on this and writing as well. I am writing a book to talk a little bit more about this spiritual journey that I've had through my life. And a lot of people have asked me, why haven't you written yet? And so that's one of my goals, to start to organize some of the writings I've already done and finish and continue to work on it. And I also want to, I feel like I don't like planning because I feel like, we make plans and God laughs, right?
Right.
So I've had Neptune in my first house for 12 or 13 years. And basically, what I learned from that is that, I'm working constantly with letting go and allowing the flow of what is meant to happen to give me signs and omens. And this is how I operate, But I am intuitive, and my download now is that I'm going to be working more on music. And this is my intention. And instead of doing like one every 2 years, 3 years, or to just, do a little more of that while I can and I'm available before I do other different things.
Right. Well, I for one will look forward to reading your book and would love to have you come back on when you do the book and I'll read it and review it and we can talk about it and all that. But let's get your information out into the world. That's part of why we do these things. Let's be honest. So first of all, what is your website?
The website is Kaliyani.com. But
That is so easy. Great.
the spelling is a little tricky because most Kalyani is in India. It's Kalyani, and I have KaliYni. So I have an I and a Y, which is like the goddess Kali, and then
Right.
Yani. And the funny thing, in Spanish, my birth name, which is Jani, in Portuguese is Jani, here it's Jane. It's Yanni. And I didn't realize that, until much, much, much later.
Right.
That Kaliyani is like Kali Jane, Kali Yanni. It's just a funny thing to mention.
I'm glad you brought up about the spelling. It's Google in all its robotic wisdom, quote unquote. You type in Kaliyani and it forces Kalyani.
Yes,
So
it
you have
forces the
to go and
one
put the
version.
I.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so frustrating. As someone who's trying to get their work out there, I was like, boy, this is a bummer. So, folks, I
Yeah.
put that on there. So go ahead and put that in. Of course, the music videos primarily YouTube. Folks should go to the YouTube, like them, share them, and all that. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And how can the audience buy your songs if they want to buy them and listen to them and have them?
Yeah, you can go to all those different distributors. It's pretty much everywhere.
Nice.
Amazon, Prime, it's also streamed, Spotify. It's all over the place now.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking some time. I was on a show in the UK today, so it was the same thing. They're in evening. I was in
Mhm.
afternoon. Here we are now. I'm in
Yeah.
evening. You're in afternoon. This technology for all its pitfalls and darkness is pretty great. It's all the application.
Mhm.
It's all
It
how you
is.
use it. So I want to thank you for spending some time with us. I hope that the audience is going to seek out your work. I know in my heart that they're going to. It's a great
Mhm.
resonant vibe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste,
Thank you,
and
GJ.
all best on your journey.
You too.
All right, guys. So there you go. Again, a little bit of Gay Hendrix, and the list goes on and on. Is wonderful and put in a new way by someone very much on the path, who's obviously been touched with grace and a wonderful amount of humility for all she's accomplished. Millions and millions of views of her videos on YouTube, and just wonderful, just a pleasure. I hope you agree. So please share the work, get the word out. When you watch One Earth, I'm sure you will want to share it with your friends. It is a vision of hope. It is a vision of peace in these very, very trying times. So next week, I'm going to be out telling the stories of the pirates. I'm going to be putting on my actor's hat and being Sam Bellamy and Angus McGregor and doing my thing. So I will repost a video. And then when I come back, we have a really good rest of summer, fall, into the winter for you of taking you through. I'm working on parallels, patterns, and pathways, taking you through the decades of this whole UFO journey and what it's all about. I'm going to start off with a video in 2 weeks called Ike and the Aliens. So, talk about the Riata treaty and all that. Hi, Rachel. Rachel, thank you for having me on your show. We had a wonderful time. That was a UK show that I was talking about. Rachel is the host of on Spiritual Psychic TV. And then after that, Craig's going to come back and we'll be back into Sinister Mysteries and we'll be trading off. We'll doing parallels and patterns and Sinister Mysteries pretty much through those months, but sprinkled with some guests. Mark Fiorentino is going to come back. And with all this talk of disclosure and advanced technology, breaking the speed of light, he's going to talk specifically for us about the speed of light, how it's not a fixed thing, and about how all of this works and how these anti-gravity technologies talk about saving the planet. Imagine using these anti-grav propulsion systems, getting away from fossil fuels, which are still driving all the wars in this country. It's a crucial part of what's going on with Ukraine. I don't mean to get revved up, but you know darn well that that's the case. So we're going to work on all of that and have some more spiritual people on to break it up and enjoy. So everyone have a wonderful evening. Have a great week. I'm going to be out telling those stories of the pirates, which is really the story of liberty, fraternity, justice, and authenticity in a different kind of way. So thank you all. I am, because you are, certainly when it comes to this show, as they say. So take care, be well, peace, and namaste.